yourself.
Okay,
There
all
you go.
right.
All right. You've all been warned. Here we go. Waiting for
30
Zoom to
seconds.
come up. Okay. And we are on. Everybody wave hello. We should be coming up on LinkedIn. And there we go. Okay. Wave on LinkedIn and wave on Facebook and wave on YouTube. That's a lot of waving and Voice America Empowerment virtually. There we go. Let's have it. Jordan, we're ready.
All right, send in the feed your way. Have a great show.
Thank you. And everybody dance with me.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, aka Radio Red, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's aka Radio Red.
Radio Red in the house. Thank you to the voice of my wonderful introducer person. This is Monday night. My goodness, where else would Radio Red be except here on Voice America, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Live streaming coming to you with three wonderful creatives. Full disclaimer, I met them all at the National Publicity Summit. I think I'm on my 900th summit. I book about 100 guests a year for this show at the summit, and I love to have my panels of 3 or 4 creatives talking about what they do in their life. How are they creating their business, their leisure, their home? How do they answer the phone? How do they look? How do they dress? What's their brand? Do they cook? Do they listen to music? What are they all about? That's what we're going to do. Those of you who are watching the show, let me refresh my LinkedIn here. Okay, there we go. Those of you watching the show, you can see that I've got another new background. I've been playing with, I use Night Cafe Studio, not Midjourney, and I've been playing with creating new backgrounds. And this one has a very prominent, I got to get my hands right, red lipstick with all kinds of bubbles. And we've got a beautiful red old-fashioned microphone right over here. And there's actually one growing out of my head, but I'm going to set up. And we got the red lips this time instead of the words. I hope you all like that. So today is May 20th. My goodness gracious, it's the 141st day of 2024 Gregorian calendar. We all know that Pope Gregory, before he was a pope, I think, didn't like the Julian calendar because Charlynne and John and Delia, I don't know if you know, but back in the day of the Julian calendar, if you were born between October 3rd and the 14th, there were no days to celebrate your birthday. The days just crumbled together. There was nothing happening. So Gregor came along. He probably said to his mom, hey, I'm not so happy with Julian, you think? And so she said, go for it, son. I'm making this up, but maybe it happened. I don't know. 13th century, who knows? So he created a current calendar where we have every 4 years is a leap year, and it coincides with the cycle of the moon and all that. So now you can all have birthdays if you're in October, and I'm a Libra, so I appreciate that. I want you all, before I formally introduce my guests, and I have a poem for all of you. You're going to enjoy this, I think, and I rent the poem out. If you really like it, you can rent it for your own use, but we'll see if you like it. I want you all to make the shape of the letter L with your fingers, please, the letter L, and on the count of 3, oh, John did it twice. That's even better. On the count of 3, you're going to join me at the exact pace I say 1, 2, 3, and we're going to say hello, L, L, L. Let's see how we do. 1, 2, 3. Hello, L, L, L. Jordan, my engineer. Oh my goodness, we have a new winner. We've been every week. We see where, John, you put your hand up. We see where if the guests do it in sync and if they really honor the LLL. Well, this is number 1. Jordan, I don't know what to say. I thought we had a number 1 best group 2 weeks ago. Move them aside. This group, they're the best. So LLL is lovely, lanky Laura Legs, our most loyal listener. I met her at dance lessons years and years ago. We've stayed friends forever. I don't think we've seen each other in 10 years in person. And what can I tell you? But she listens to the show, Charlynne and John and Delia, every Monday night if she's around at 6:01 p.m. Eastern. She's going to send me a note. Hello, beautiful, gorgeous lady of red. That's what she calls me. And she's going to tell me what you said, Charlynne, on the show, Charlynne, and what John said and what Delia said. She's going to take a little for the promo and a little of what you actually said on the air and send me a little report. And she is the third in a line of people who've done that. My mom, even in her 90s, would listen to the show and call me at 8:01. We were on from 7 to 8. She'd tell me what she heard and who she loved on the show. And then my cousin Freddie in his 90s in California, he would email me at 8:01. And then Laura, they're both gone. And Laura took up the journey, took up the mantle, and she does it now. So that's why Laura's special. By the way, I've been trying to get her to move Charlynne to a place that started with L, because lovely, lanky Laura Legs, our most loyal listener, lives in Whitestone. There isn't even an L. So I was going to move her to London, and I took up this fake, let's call it hallucinating GoFundMe. Didn't raise any money because it wasn't real, to move her to London, but London was too hot last year and very expensive. So I moved. Well, I was looking at the map, and I wanted to move from Durham, North Carolina to somewhere to be close to my family. So I looked at the map and I saw London, but I have this habit of tilting remember I had you all tilt your head for the pictures? I tilted my head a little too far, and the first N in London went upside down, and I ended up in Loudon, Tennessee. So I'm trying to get Laura to move here. I told you I'm the low budget green room warm up comedian. So there you go. I know. And that part is true. What can I tell you? So I want to read my little opening poem. And full disclaimer, I asked ChatGPT, my favorite LLM, large language model AI bot. I think John and I have talked about this before. And I asked it to write a poem. I fed it your full bio, John, your full bio, Delia, your full bio, Charlynne. And I said, write a couple of lines for each guest and an opening and closing for me. And then, this is not pure AI. And then I, the human in the group, me and ChatGPT, you're all human, I think. I edited it and changed it and moved things around and changed the rhyme. So it's a collaboration. It's a hybrid. So here we go. Welcome to Read My Lips, cool conversations with creative radio, where grit and grace meet in the words we sow. Grit's in honor of you, John. With akaRadioRed and her Scarlett mic in hand, let's journey through the hearts where creative spirits stand. When I call your name, Charlynne likes it already. When I call your name, just wave. John Suzuki, author of the book American Grit, hosts the Finding Better podcast with compassion and wit. From tech to tales, his stories lift us higher, teaching us to learn, earn, and return our spirits to inspire. Did you like that, John?
Nice.
I'll negotiate it. You can rant it. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say that you said that you, as I, was going to wrap everything up at the end. So I, and artificial intelligence is the intelligence. So I assume that you are the intelligent part of it.
Thank you very much. You're very kind. I hope so. I recently had a CAT scan. I had to go to the emergency room. I'm fine, Delia. And at 10:30 at night, after 9 hours of tests, which are all normal, fortunately, the 6'8" PA bounds into the room where they've got me sitting, this waiting room, and he says, "We have good news. You have a brain." I said, "Thank you very much." So I'm the human brain and the AI. Thank you very much.
Good,
John.
good.
Let's keep going. Charlynne Boddie, wave hello. Her vision is bright, a coach and a minister guiding people to do right. Her words break barriers, dreams she helps others find, from chaos to purpose, enlightening the mind. Charlynne, did you like that?
Love it. Love it.
Good. I'm glad.
I like that one better than mine.
Oh, be quiet. You're not allowed to say that. Delia Chiaramonte, MD, a healer through and through, an integrative physician with a vision clear and true, author of Coping Courageously Guide, leading people through the strife with a heart-centered approach. Delia enhances their life. Do you like that? Oh, I love that. Like that. Tune in. I hope you are. Now watch or listen. You can watch us or you can listen, and let your spirit soar as we explore the grit of creativity with cool conversations and more. What'd you think? You like it?
Love it.
Good. Now, how long do you think it took for ChatGPT? John, I told you to behave. How long do you think it took for ChatGPT to send me the core of that poem after I input all 3 bios and a little opening and closing, my name, the name of the show, my mic, and all of that? Let's go around. John, you're last because you're not behaving. Charlynne, how long did it take ChatGPT to answer me?
I'm going to say 3 minutes.
Okay. Delia, how long?
2 seconds.
You've watched my show. You're close. John, what do you think?
I was going to say 8 seconds.
It's actually down to 2.25 seconds now.
Whoa.
That's how fast. That is how fast. Incredible. Now, there's a new version called GPT 4 with a letter O, not the 0. O is for Omni. It's in beta right now, and people who are free users like me are getting a test version of it. It's even faster than that. But I asked it to write me a song about my teddy bears, and it, in less than 5 seconds, returned a 4-verse song, including a chorus. And I asked it for the notes, and it came back with full notation for the whole music to go with the song in a few seconds. It's unreal. Anyway, I talk about the future of AI and all kinds of industries on one of my other shows. So there you go. So let's go around the table and get some full introductions. Take about 2.5, 3 minutes tops. So let's hear who you really are, other than the wonderful little poem I presented for you. John Suzuki, and I have to say, John invited me to be a guest on his Finding Better podcast recently. I had a wonderful time. I said way too much about my life that I probably shouldn't have shared, but John's that kind of an interviewer. So I just couldn't help myself. John, I'm putting you on speaker view. Tell us what you do and who you are. 3 minutes, go.
Yeah. So who I am a grandfather. I'm going to be the grandfather. Oh, that's the first thing. That's the most important thing that I am. My third is coming next month. And I wrote a book and I launched a podcast, and it's all about making the world better. And, it's I retired from 40 years of high tech last year. Actually, it was 2 years ago. And I've kind of dedicated the rest of my life to just help make the world better. We live in such a crazy world now, and there's just we talked about artificial intelligence, right? Who knows where the world is going, and who knows what the world's going to look like even next year, let alone 10 years from now. And the world has gone, the world with the rise of computer systems and the rise of social media and all these different things. It's been a wonderful thing, but it's also been a double-edged sword.
John, we want to know about you. We don't want your statement about AI. We want to know about you. Where'd you come from? Why did you write your book? Come on, tell me.
Really? Okay. Where'd I come from?
It's called a bio.
Yeah. So I wrote the book out of love because it kind of landed in my lap. And I found myself at a former Japanese American concentration camp for reasons I can't explain. It just happened. And while I was there, I came across a billboard, and this billboard showed the names of over 1,000 people, men, who volunteered out of that concentration camp to fight and die for the United States Army, who put them and their families in that camp to begin with. And I just could not believe that I'd never heard of that. And these guys went on to become part of the most decorated war unit in the history of the United States, called the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, a bunch of Japanese Americans. It was a segregated camp. And so from that came the story of grit. And the idea that these guys did not blame anybody for their circumstances. They refused to be victims, and they decided to take responsibility for their own lives in a concentration camp and find a way to get out, to prove their loyalty, and to fight for a better life for themselves and their families and the country. And it's just an incredible story, which then led me into launching my podcast called Finding Better, because my book is all about finding better. It's all about refusing to blame. It's all about refusing victimhood. And that's what I want to do. I want to empower people one person at a time, because I think that empowering every person you empower lifts the world. And so that's what I'm all about. That's what I'm all about. But most importantly, I'm a grandfather.
Thank you. Well, you've gotten your priorities straight. I wanted you to briefly tell us the story of your book. And I did name this episode after your book, John.
Yes. Creative Grit. Thank you.
Every week I have to, the grit of creativity. It's always the something of creativity. Every week I pick one guest story, their book, their bio, something to inspire me with the name, because I have to come up with hundreds of names.
Yeah.
50 names, 50 titles. You're welcome.
Thank you, because creativity does require grit.
That's a word that has never come up. And we talk about courageous. We talk about curious creativity. We talk about bold, audacious creativity. We talk about all kinds, brave. But I've never used the word grit of creativity. So thank you for.
Yes.
Yes, there you go. Let's go around the table. Ms. Charlynne, Boddie, I'm so happy to have you here. Met you at the summit, and I said, that lady's coming on my show. There you go. Charlynne, would you please do me the honor of telling us who you are? And if you can condense your entire story, Charlynne, I know what you've done. I know where you've been. I know where you've come from. And it's like an hour show all in itself. But if you can condense it down to 3 minutes, I'd appreciate it. Go ahead. Welcome.
Okay, well, in keeping with the whole grit idea, I must tell you all that in the beginning of my book, True Grid, Grid, as in dog, I mentioned the movie True Grit that starred John Wayne, the original. And I tell all of my coaching clients, you must have true grit to get through True Grid. And
wait. Let us just take that all in. I forgot the name of your book. I'm sorry. I have it in front of me. But Grid, the movie, there's always a synchronicity. Delia's been on the show before. There's always a thread. There's always a synchronicity, some kind of humanity that links our stories all together somehow. And you just proved that. Go ahead, Charlynne. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. And I just think it's so important because it does take true grit to follow the vision grid that I give my clients. I am a coach. I'm an ordained Christian minister. I am a former White House press officer for 2 presidents, but I actually have done assignments for 3 US presidents, if I'm honest. So Reagan, Clinton, and Bush Jr. My specialty is crisis communications. I tend to get called by people in government and people of influence in crisis. That is my specialty as a communicator. I'm also a film critic, which is why I mentioned John Wayne and True Grit in the beginning of my first book. I'm a world traveler, and I love sharing with people exploits and things that I've done in my travels and the amazing people I've met in so many different cultures. I'm a graduate of Denver Lutheran, which is a German high school in Denver. And this is why I speak German. And I've done a lot of work in Germany with US soldiers and their families, and have taught recently for the Pentagon. I really enjoy, spending time with people that have a dream, which I call an extreme dream, because I believe every human being has greatness in them, but sometimes they might need a cheerleader like myself to bring that greatness out of them. And that is why I call my coaching seminar the Extreme Dream. And people have brought me outrageous things, Radio Red. I am telling you, I get unbelievable dreams that people want to see manifest in their lives. And I help them do that. I really believe that it all came about after a head-on collision. Delia, you might be interested in this, that I was in a head-on collision with 2 cars. The first driver was a drunk driver. The other driver T-boned me, and they cut my body out between the 2 cars.
My goodness.
I had a closed head injury, L3 through 5 in my back, totally crushed, and bleeding for 6 years. The doctor up on me. They said, you're just not doing what we want you to do. And I said, I want to kind of put into place my coaching program. They said, if you go to England and you put this coaching program in place and you bleed out at 35,000 feet, you're on your own. Ooh. Well, I went to try out the Extreme Dream course that was downloaded to me in a bed that they said I'd never get out of. And I'm a walking miracle. I've been blind and now I see. I've been kidnapped a couple of times and lived to tell the tale. Was almost beheaded 9 years ago.
Charlynne, how many lives? They say a cat has 9 lives. I think Delia and John, we're up to 15 for her.
Yeah, I call her my Forrest Gump.
Oh my goodness gracious. Charlynne, wrap it up. Go ahead, Charlynne.
Yeah, so that's what I would say. That's a little bit about me. I love helping people from all different backgrounds, socioeconomic color, different beliefs and creeds, realize the extreme dream and greatness that they have within themselves. And that is what I love to do with people.
I love it. You're a generous person, Charlynne. You've been through so much. You have a generous soul. All of you do. All of you do. Let's hear from Delia. Thank you, Charlynne. It's even more amazing than the bio you sent me. I'm seeing you in the bed getting the download and saying, I'm going to the UK. The hell with you, doctor. I will live. I will see. I will talk. I will inspire. I will help people find their greatness. And I'm going to survive. You're a survivor. Capital S. Every letter, capital S, all the way through. Delia, welcome back. It's been a while. I saw you at the summit. I said, you again? No, I said, Delia, what's new? That's what I said. I was very polite. What's new? And you said, I've got some new stuff to talk to you about, Red. Let me back on the show. And I said, how could I refuse a beautiful doctor like you? Delia, refresh us. Tell us, what have you been up to? And welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. So I'm a physician, as you said. I started out as a family doctor, and then I became an integrative medicine doctor, and then I became a palliative medicine doctor. And most importantly, I realized in my practice that putting together integrative medicine and palliative medicine together is how we best serve people who are suffering with serious illness. And so I love the themes that I hear with the other two amazing guests of basically helping people shine wherever they are. And that's what really struck me about taking care of people with serious illness, is that if you have one breath left, you deserve to get every single joy that you can out of today. And so what I saw in medicine, that I hate to admit it because it's my field, but a little bit, once somebody gets a serious illness, sometimes they get put in another box, like, oh, well, you have a serious illness, so somehow your dreams and desires are not as prominent. But that's really not true. And so my passion now is really twofold. One side is to support families who are facing serious illness. And so not just end of life, but, if you get diagnosed with cancer or multiple sclerosis or have a stroke, serious illness that messes with your life. So helping families, both the patient and the family, to cope, to take care of themselves, to live, to get every joy and juice out of life that they can. So that's one side. And that's the book that I wrote, which is called Coping Courageously, a heart-centered guide for navigating a loved one's illness without losing yourself. And then the other path is, I really don't think you can change the way patients get treated unless you also educate clinicians. And so my other path is to educate physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners, other clinicians who care for people with serious illness. I have a program called Joyful Palliative Care because clinicians need to fill up themselves too, so that they're filled with empathy, so they can share that empathy with their patients. Because right now, doctors and other clinicians are kind of burnt out, so they don't bring as much empathy. So patients feel like, my doctor just seems like, they're trying to get in and out of the room, and nobody's happy. So my goal is to kind of be in the serious illness space for patients and families and also clinicians, and raise everybody's well-being.
What a generous spirit you are as well, Delia. Beautiful. And coping, create courageously. I talked about courageous creativity, and there's that word in the title of your book. We do have that thread. Delia, I want to ask you to clarify a word.
Sure.
Many of us are familiar with the word palliative, meaning end of life. I recently had a friend whose mother went into palliative care. She was only 102, and she had fallen but broke nothing. It turned out it was the downhill for her. But she went into palliative care, and I said to my friend, is this the end? And she said, no, this is different. Can you just explain to us briefly, Delia, what is the difference?
I am so grateful that you asked that question, because it's one of my soapboxes. Palliative care is not the same as end-of-life care. Palliative care is a specialty in medicine, and its whole focus is reducing suffering in people with serious illness. But that could mean a serious illness you're trying to cure. So end of life is this much of, so palliative care is like this, hospice is this much, the very end of palliative care. But people can be in the care of a palliative care doctor for years and years and years, because the whole focus is reducing suffering. So let's use cancer as an example. If you have cancer and you go to an oncologist, their goal is to get rid of the cancer. They're going to probably increase your suffering, right? Like you're going to get chemo and you're going to be exhausted and nauseous and feel terrible. But they're going after the cancer. The palliative care doctor's goal is to reduce your symptoms, reduce your stress, help you make medical decisions. So we're not about fixing the disease. That's another doctor's bailiwick. We're about reducing suffering for you and your family. And so again, if you have a stage 2 or 3 cancer and you're hoping to get cured, but you can't sleep and you're stressed out and you're nauseous and you're fatigued, palliative care can help with that.
Thank you. That was elegant and eloquent. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. I don't think I'm alone in not being aware of the nuances, if you will, on that spectrum, if I can use that word,
Yep.
of care. So thank you. What an interesting panel you all are. And just for the listeners and viewers to know, I don't pick my guests by what their topics are and how they may or may not relate to each other. I go to the Publicity Summit. I'm in 15 to 17 breakout rooms. I have a monitor with a stopwatch in each room, and I get exactly 2 minutes on the clock to meet these people. They pitch me. Charlynne pitched me, and Delia pitched me, and John pitched me. And in that 2 minutes, I will say, oh, May 20th is open. Delia, are you available? Yes. Delia, give me your phone number. Give me your email. Okay. And they're saying, time's up. I said, no, I've got to get it. Okay, Delia, thank you very much. John will pitch me. John, are you available May 20th? Good. John, phone number and email it. And I'm taking full notes on everything you told me during that 2 minutes. And then, so I could go away with about 38 to 40 bookings after a 3-hour session with 55 people in 17 breakout rooms. It's a whirlwind. So my point is, I'll get to it eventually. Before the show's over, please, Red. The point is that this is just whoever was there in the next lineup and accepted the next date. And I love the way the synchronicity, because it's just a humanity thing, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? It's just, we're just all people. There you go. So let's get to the part of the show. Let's make this real fast. Instead of 3 minutes, let's take 2. I've asked each of you for a fictional quote or a song lyric that you will relate in your own words to your own creativity. John Suzuki has picked a quote from Snowman Olaf, voiced by the actor Josh Gad. The movie is Frozen, 2013 animated musical fantasy film by Disney. And I have to tell you that this movie grossed $1.28 billion worldwide at the box office, John. It was the highest grossing animated film until The Lion King was remade 6 years later. And it's the highest grossing film of 2013 and the 5th highest grossing film of all time. And let me just set up the scene here. Elsa, voiced by the lovely and talented Idina Menzel, and Anna, voiced by Kristen Bell, who's beyond adorable, are the royal sisters of Arendelle. It rhymes. Menzel, Bell, and Arendelle. How cute. When Elsa becomes queen, she accidentally creates a snowstorm in the entire kingdom. Anna sacrifices herself to save Elsa from being killed by Hans, voiced by Santino Fontana. Olaf is a sentient comic relief snowman they created as children, who dreams of experiencing summer. But alas, snowmen don't. Here is the quote from the snowman. An act of true love will thaw a frozen heart. John, 2 minutes. How does this relate?
Yay!
How did I do?
Love that. You did great.
Okay?
You did great. I didn't know about all that stuff. I just love the quote. And, and so
go ahead.
Love will thaw a frozen heart. And in my last, I don't know, my last 10 years in the tech industry, everything was getting really smart. It was getting really smart, and I call it the trend towards brain. You got the scientific method, and you've got data and data sciences and all these different kinds of things. And it just kind of shifted over time from the heart. I call it from love. And I built my career over 40 years on caring about people and really, really doing my part to take care of my customers. And I lived my whole career with the saying that says, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so Olaf saying, love will thaw a frozen heart. I think all of us can relate to the idea that we all have frozen hearts in some way. And it seems like the world over the last 10 years has kind of just been such a downer, just been so hard. And it's just, life has just gotten so tough. I feel really hard. I feel really badly for younger people trying, early in their careers, because it is such a tough world. So much tougher than when I was growing up. And, and so that the reason why love will thaw a frozen heart resonates with me so much is because that's what I'm trying to do. It's all about love. And, every single one of the folks that I interview, you and Charlynne, it encircled around everything we talk about is that it's all about love. Somehow, some way, it's all about love. And for me, it's bringing that back. I think we're going to experience a renaissance of bringing the heart back. I think we have to.
Let's hope.
Yeah, that's where I come from, one person at a time. Our
Thank
political
you.
leaders aren't going to do it. It's up to us. It's up to us, and I want to be part of that.
Thank you for picking such a beautiful quote. I'm glad I research everybody's quotes, and I have
That's
a lot of.
amazing.
I love it. I have my Technology Revolution, the Future of Now show, and my guests who are all futurists in tech in some field or another, in different careers, different industries. They all have to send me a fictional quote or a song lyric too, which drives a lot of them nuts. So I keep a list of about 50 of my favorites from the past couple of years of guests. So I'm researching. Let's see, if I have 3 radio shows, that's 4, 7, 10 guests a week. That's 10 quotes a week times 50. I'm looking at up to 500 quotes a year. And I research every one. I will
You're
spend
amazing.
an hour. No, I'm not. I'm I'm OCD when it comes to quotes. But I love quotes. And you basically you referenced Maya Angelou. It doesn't matter. Yes, that's a Maya Angelou quote. Okay, let's go to Charlynne. Charlynne has picked a quote. I'm going to hum the tune that goes with this before I read the quote. Da da dum, da da dum, da 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 dum, da da dum, da da dum, da da dum. I murdered that. Sorry about that. The quote is from Pure Imagination, the song from the 1971, the original film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, sung by the wonderful Gene Wilder. It was written, the song, by British composers Leslie Briskus and Anthony Newley for the movie, sung by Gene Wilder, who played the character Willy Wonka. But I don't know if you know this, Charlynne, or anybody. Leslie Briskus said the song was written over the phone in one day. Did you know that? Yes.
I did not know that.
And the original song was not popular. The movie was not popular. Other songs from the soundtrack did better than Pure Imagination. But in the 1980s, the movie started television reruns, and all of a sudden, everybody knew about Pure Imagination, and some of the cover songs even got charted. In the week following Gene Wilder's death in 2016, I can't believe he's gone this long, the song rose 1,000% in streaming and sales. It was featured on TV, radio, social media tributes to him. It was not used for the 2005 film adaptation of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It was featured in the prequel film Wonka, the promotional materials of the film, and sung by the beautiful curly-haired Timothée Chalamet as Wonka. So here is the line. I have the whole thing, but just a little bit. Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see. I'm not going to finish singing. Into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. How beautiful. How beautiful. Charlynne, what does it have to do with your creativity? I think I know, but tell everybody else. Go ahead.
Well, I think as a child, my sister and me were just shown everything in the arts. And we were so, enthused by that. On my mother's side, it's a very artsy family, and she encouraged that. And so for me as a little girl, I just wanted to have my own television show. And my sister and I, at ages 5 and 3, started our own soap opera called Carrie and Sherry. And I don't know why we use those names, but that's what we called it at 5 and 3. And my mother would be washing dishes and cooking and listening and thinking, wow, where's this going to go? And she really believed that we were going to go to Hollywood one day. And that did happen. And we created our own television show called Real Sisters, which is REEL. And we were seen by 312 million people around the world. And we had over 500 stars and directors on our show. And we just, live in this whole thing of imagination. And I believe imagining myself as a television host and star as a little girl, and then seeing it happen in real life for my own extreme dream, that movie just said everything to me. I would have been 5 years old when the first original, Willy Wonka came out, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and all of that came out. And at 5, I had already made my television debut. I was already thinking, I can do this. I can do this. I can write. Now my sister is an award-winning screenwriter in the middle of selling her first 2 screenplays to Hollywood, one for episodic television and one for a 3-film franchise that she wrote and got awards for already. So, creativity and imagination is everything for me. And I believe when you're a mindset coach like I am, you have to be able to imagine with your clients where they will be in a year from now, so that they too can see the manifestation of the dreams within them that they have not seen yet.
I love it.
So for me, that quote is really key. And I have to tell you this, here's another thread for you with what John just said. Would you believe that I just moved from the county where Arundel, the city is, and Arundel Castle?
Wow.
There is a real
We're
Arundel
all connected.
in England. There is a real city of Arundel. I live there. I know everything about that castle. It's my favorite castle. There really is a real place called Arundel in West Sussex, England. And I just moved from there.
This show is getting more and more amazinger. The more we talk, the threads are just like, "Ah, wow, this is unusual. This amount of synchronicity is unusual. Delia's going to break the spell, I think, a little bit with her quote. Just want to warn you, kids. Just want to warn you. She's got a quote from Maria Portokalis, played by the wonderful Lainie Kazan. Is there anybody like Lainie Kazan? My Big Fat Greek Wedding, 2002 romantic comedy film, directed by Joel Zwick, written by Nia Vardalos, starring Nia and John Corbett. This was before his Sex and the City days, I believe, when he was young John Corbett. Lainie Kazan, Michael Constantine, I don't think he's around anymore, Andrea Martin, Joey Fatone, Gia Caritas, and Louis Mandylor. I don't know some of those actors. And here's the story. A young Greek-American woman falls in love with a non-Greek and struggles to get her family to accept him while she comes to terms with her own heritage and her cultural identity. That actually is a very current theme today. It grossed $368 million on a $5 million budget. It was nominated for Best Original Screenplay. There's a screenplay line for you. At the 75th Oscars, Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, Best Actress at the 60th Golden Globe, and it inspired the sitcom My Big Fat Greek Life, the 2016 My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2, and the 2023 My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. Here's the line Delia has picked. Charlynne, I hope you're sitting down. John, I think you are. Here we go. The man is the head, but the woman is the neck, and she can turn the head any way she wants. Delia, how could you? Go ahead. What does this have to do with your creativity? Shock us.
So I did not go poetic with this one. And I know it has a sexist tinge. That's not the part I'm after.
That's okay.
But here's what I like about that. So in her world, Maria was not in a power position. And so instead of wilting and saying the man is the power in my family and so I have to give up, she found a way to turn it so that even though she's not head to head the power, she has another way to turn to the side and get her needs met. And so for me, thinking about illness, people dealing with hard things that they can't fix if you go at it only like this, you wilt. But even in the face of something hard, you can turn your face a little bit and say, well, I have this thing, but at least I could go to graduation for my loved one, or at least it's a beautiful day today, or at least my dog is adorable. And so it was that idea of you're facing something where you don't have power, but if you turn to the side a little bit, all of a sudden you have all kinds of control and power and ways to get your needs met. That's what I like about it.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Delia. Thank you to the three of you for very interesting quotes. Sometimes that's the most fun part of the show for me is the quotes you pick, how far back the movies. I have people who are still quoting The Wizard of Oz from 1939. That's very popular. Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. Yes. And pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That was the wizard. Yes. And people are still quoting, quotes from Casablanca. They're still quoting, the on the tarmac with Lewis and blah, blah, blah. So very, very, and they're still quoting Gone with the Wind. Right? Okay. Yes. All right. So Scarlett, I don't give a damn. Okay. So let's go to your creativity statements. We've already covered a lot of your creativity, but I'm going to pick at least one from each of you. We got 17 minutes left. How did that happen? It's only an hour show, kids. Okay. So let's keep this to 3 minutes each. And if you see me doing this, I'm not being rude. Just means let's make room for everybody else. So John says, you're going to be surprised at the one I picked out of your statements, John. He says, when I was young, this is John talking, I took piano lessons and I was able to play by ear for 7 years. When my dad realized I couldn't read music, he got so mad, he fired my piano teacher and got me a new one. The new piano teacher taught me to read music, but to this day, I can't play by ear. I've learned to live life by ear. Don't play the notes on the sheet, play the music. John, that's quotable moment there too, my friend. Go ahead, John. Take 3 minutes and tell us what this really means to you.
Oh boy, was he pissed. He was so mad. I mean, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of classical piano lessons. And one day he discovered I couldn't read music because I would have the teacher play the piece for me, and I was able to play it right back. And I learned from there. I was conditioned that that's bad, and learned how to read music, and I haven't been able to do it since. Now I do have my own piano, and I am starting to just jam. I'm just trying to do the jazz thing and just try to bring some of that back. And but it is there's lots of different people. There's a lot, Charlotte. No disrespect intended to anybody here, including myself, right? But seems like a whole lot of people have got their music sheets on how you should live your life, and that's part of the reason why I am where I am, is because there's so much bad information out there. There's so much bad music that's being written, and folks are being told, if you look like me, you're going to be happy. If you do what I tell you to do, you're going to be happy. And you know what? Life's not fair, and there is no book of instructions in life. And right. And so the whole idea is and I love Charlynne, what you're doing, and I love Delia, what you're doing, because you're guiding people. You're saying, hey, listen, this is what I've experienced. This is what I've gone through. This is what I've seen in my life. Let me tell you what I've done, and maybe you can learn something from it, and learn from my mistakes, and learn from my successes. And because for me, and thinking about creativity, part of the problem in our world is that everybody is so afraid to fail. Mm-hmm. And I tell people, if you're not being successful, you're not failing enough. And and it goes back to Thomas Edison. He failed 1,000 times at inventing a light bulb. Well, he learned 1,000 different ways it didn't work. And so if you go with the mindset, and if you go with an idea that says, you know what, the more I fail, the more the better chances I'm going to have to be successful. Just do it. Follow your heart. Your brain is there to keep you out of trouble. But play your life, play your music.
John, there's an interview. Somebody interviewed George Clooney recently. It might have been on the Chris Wallace show, and on the promo, George Clooney, the actor, says, "I learned more from my failures than from any of my successes."
That's
there
it,
John.
That's
I have to move on because I'm looking at the clock here. So thank you. That was lovely. That was really, and it's very, very true. As far as music goes and all creativity, we're in an interesting time where artificial intelligence can indeed compose a song with music in less than 3 minutes. And I tried a new website called Suno, Suno. I'm starting a new radio show soon. And I asked it for a theme song, and I gave it a 1-sentence opener of what I wanted. And within 1 minute, it came back with a fully produced song with the music, with singers, with a chorus, with three verses, and it was about 1 minute and 46 seconds. I had 10 free credits. I used them all up that day. Now I'm going to probably join. And I was shocked at how good it was. Seriously good. Seriously good. I gave it the title. I told it I wanted a Motown beat, and it included everything radio. It talks about the digital space and radio and creativity and all kinds of things. And I couldn't believe how good it was. Will I use that song? Maybe. I'm also writing my own songs, and I have a composer in France who's doing music for me. So we'll leave that one on the table. Thank you very much. Charlynne, I want to go back to some of your extreme dream. I'm going to pick 2 of your statements. I'm going to read them together and take your 3 minutes, okay? Charlynne says, I create customized, unique, creative opportunities for young and old people to learn, grow, and find their vision and purpose in life. I have created Xtreme, and she puts capital X, TREME. Okay, so the E is missing from the front. I like that. That's a good brand. Extreme dream birthday parties for children looking for ways to move ahead with what they want to be when they want to grow up. I encourage young and adults to create dream boards and treasure maps with magazine clippings and photos about their own creative desires. Put them into words on a vision grid, GRID, design their plan of action. You've also created extreme dream anniversary weekends for couples at resorts, British luxury manors. You've taken clients to forests, to conference centers, all kinds of places, sprawling English and Scottish estates in the countryside, wherever they want to go. Take 3.5 minutes, Charlynne. This is too good. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I love the creativity that comes from event planning. I think when I worked in the US government, they gave me so much latitude and longitude to do creative events for Earth Day and so many different things that I'm not sure you get to do in the typical 9 to 5. But then when I left my federal service and created the Extreme Dreams seminar after that car accident, that's really what got me out of the bed and got me to focus on the dreams of other people. I really wanted to pick their brains about the atmosphere they would need to recreate the life that they always wanted, so to speak. They're living one life, but they're saying, if I wouldn't fail at anything, Char, let me think for a minute, where would I like to be? And, one gentleman said, can I pick wherever I want to be? And he decided to rent out an English estate for his, anniversary weekend. And I tell you what, it causes everyone to fire off in a different manner with creativity when you do that. And, we're looking at the pictures, but we're also putting something into doable bite-sized chunks on a very fun and creative vision grid that is comprised of 9 squares, but it goes from where the person is now all the way to the next 5 years. And for me, it really pushed me, RadioRed, to go where the clients are, but take it a step further. The creativity. What could you do on a 1,000-year-old estate? What would you do in an 800-year-old castle? One of my friends said, hey, do you want my castle for your couple's weekends? And I said, yes. Can I put that on the list for a possible location? We've just had so much fun all over the world. And every time someone comes back, they're saying in their minds, I'm already thinking about the next time we get to do this with Char. So some of the couples have made it like something they do with me every 5 years for those milestone anniversaries. So for me, the creativity keeps getting wilder and wilder wherever I am. And it also brings the manifestation of those extreme dreams into greater permanence and make them more established in the life of every single person, whether you're a 12-year-old who wants to be an F1 engineer, which is one of my youngest clients, became an F1 engineer when everybody said, that's impossible. You can't do that. You're only 12 years old. Are you crazy? All the way to my oldest clients to date, which were a couple in Athens, Greece, who were 88 years of age.
Oh, lovely.
And they had never done something that creative in their lives. And every single bit of their extreme dream, which was impossible for over 60 years of marriage, it happened, RadioRed, in 2 weeks. The manifestation of their extreme dream happened at 88 in 2 weeks' time.
Charlynne, one point you brought up that I don't know if anybody else caught, but you said you had a friend who said, do you want to use my castle?
Yes, I heard that.
Yeah. It's like, did she just kind of gloss over that one? It's like, oh, sure. I'll just call my next door neighbor and ask if I can borrow their castle. Sure. Charlynne, you've got quite an interesting life. Thank you for that. I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk more about that. This could be a whole hour, but I don't do hour one interviews anymore, but we'll talk again. Delia, I'm going to transform your statement 2 and 3 into one statement. I'm looking at the clock here. We're good.
Okay.
Delia says, I transform ugly words into pretty things. If I'm going through something tough, I write it on paper. I paint over it with pretty colors until most of the words are covered. Then I rip it up and turn it into a collage, an art piece, a treasure box, etc. And then she adds, I turn rusted junk into multimedia that communicates. Rusted metal, paint, collage, textiles. Most have a word or two, including survivor, no, etc. Delia, you've got exactly 3 minutes. I want to know all about this. Go ahead.
So the concept behind all of that is that I think it's so important to hold space for 2 opposing ideas all the time in all of our lives. So things are not pretty or ugly or good or bad or, unbearable or fabulous. all the time we have both things. So things can be old and beautiful. You can have what seem like ugly or uncomfortable words, and you can transform them into something that brings you joy or that you give to someone else and brings them joy. And so for me, this really resonates in taking care of people who are ill and helping families who are ill, that it's not like, oh, you have a bad disease. I'm so sorry. Everything's terrible for you. And so I think that's part of the gift that I bring actually is, yes, you have this thing and it's really hard. And you're a person and you like things and what makes you feel happy today and what would be fun for you today. And it's not toxic positivity like, oh, we're going to pretend there's not the bad, there's only the good. No, there's bad, there's old, there's ugly, there's yuck, and there's beauty and special and inspiration together. So conceptually, I use that all the time in my work, but when I make art, I don't think it's an accident that I don't start usually with pretty things and make something out of pretty things. I usually start with junk. My husband laughs because I order off the internet old rusted metal things, and he'll be like, "Did we get more trash today in the mail that you paid for? Is that what happened?" But I take it and it's rusty and dirty and old, and on purpose, I translate it into something that is, for me, beautiful or meaningful. And I just think that's kind of how life works.
Lovely. I took the attached room that was built onto this house. I bought this house in Loudon, Tennessee, a year and a half ago, and more rooms than I need. Living alone, and I didn't expect to live alone, but I am. And I took an outside room that we were using as a dining room. It's not heated, it's not air conditioned, but it has windows on two sides, and it was added on to the house. I immediately saw, Delia, that this was going to be my art studio. I have a gorgeous dining room table from my mom that I brought from New York to Durham, and it was sitting with the leaves removed in a closet. I set it up and put a big piece of thick glass over the top and pads over it and created a whole art studio for myself. But I want to tell you that I keep bits and pieces of things for my collages. And I keep, when you get a gift of pears or apples or something at Christmas from Florida, they send, those are wrapped in little thin light green tissue paper. I save them and I put watercolors on them and cut them in different shapes and use those as my collage papers.
I keep that stuff too. I get such a hard time from my husband. This is trash.
Oh, just put it in a box.
This is
no,
beautiful.
It's not.
This is
it's
art.
not. I want to thank you all for your wonderful statements. I've got 3 minutes to do about 10 minutes worth of stuff here. So let's just do it quickly. Today in music history, in 1954, going all the way back, I don't know if anybody here was alive. We're not talking about that. 1954, Bill Haley and his Comets, Rock Around the Clock was released and it stalled. But nobody really noticed it until it was used a year later in the movie Blackboard Jungle. Then, big hit. In 1967, on this day, there was a line in the Beatles song, A Day in the Life. The line is, "I'd love to turn you on." The BBC in the UK banned the song. They said it was promoting drug use. I know. On this day in 67, George Harrison visited the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi for the first time. And at the same day, the Young Rascals' Groovin' hit #1 in the United States. Paula Abdul's second #1 song, Forever Your Girl, was written by the son of Jerry Lieber of Lieber and Stoller, the songwriting team. I thought that was interesting. I'm getting what have I got? A 3-minute warning. Thank you, Jordan. Lady Gaga, on this day in 2012, appeared on The Simpsons, trying to help Lisa improve her social standing in the episode Lisa Goes Gaga. I like that title. And in 1998, Frank Sinatra's funeral in Beverly Hills drew 400 invited guests and onlookers. Attendees included Tony Bennett, Angie Dickinson, Joey Bishop, the only one surviving the Rat Pack, Liza Minnelli, Jack Nicholson, Tony Danza, and Tom Selleck. There you go. Today, it's Cher's birthday. Cher was born Charlynne Sarkeesian in El Centro, California. She first recorded as Bonnie Jo Mason, then Cheryl. She teamed up with Sonny Bono in 1964. They recorded as Caesar and Cleo. Then they changed their names to Sonny and Cher. When they hit I Got You, Babe, she stuck with Cher. She's known as the goddess of pop. She's only sold 100 million records, and she won Billboard's 2002 Artist of the Year. And believe it or not, she was put into foster care as a young child because her parents couldn't take care of her. Her farewell tour went on for 4 years and had more than 300 stops and grossed only $200 million. Today is the birthday of Rachel Platten, 40 years old, 43. She is a singer-songwriter of 1,000 Ships, and she wrote Fight Song, which a lot of you know. She started taking piano lessons at 4. There you go, Charlynne. And she worked at a record label in Trinidad. Rapper Busta Rhymes today, born today, I don't have his age, a reggae influencer. It was born Trevor George Smith Jr., known for the song Woo-Ha and his rapid rhyming. And here we go. Jimmy Stewart, Best Actor, 1940, the Philadelphia Story. I got the wrong. He lived to 89, and this was his birthday. Okay, social. On Instagram, we have Austin McBroom, 32 years old today. The only reason I put him in here is because he has 5 million subscribers on Insta and 18 million subscribers on a YouTube channel. I just want to tell you, he's a former NCAA basketball guard. He became a social media star. He's the patriarch of the popular ACE Family YouTube channel with updates on the family's event, 18 million subscribers. Oh my goodness. And on TikTok, we have Ali Yost, who's 29, and she does posts that encourage people. She does makeup, singing, and relationship advice. She only has 1.9 million subscribers, so she's just getting started. Today is Be a Millionaire Day. Do at least one thing that will make you feel like a million. Get a spa treatment, test drive a fancy car, go for a special cocktail. It's Eliza Doolittle Day. Remember, My Fair Lady first performed 58 years ago. Professor Henry Higgins tries to teach Cockney flower girl Eliza Doolittle how to speak properly. It's Flower Day. It's National Eli Day. You know somebody, Eli, just say hello to them and wish them not a birthday. Just tell. It's National Quiche Lorraine Day. It was done by a young cook who just mixed things up and it created a fancy dish. Everybody loved it. National Rescue Dog Day, National Streaming Day, National Women in Aerospace Day. It's British Tomato Fortnight, 14 days, May 20th to June 2nd. Celebrates the quality of British tomatoes that are grown in greenhouses, no pesticides and no pests. It's World Bee Day, National Safe Week, Sun Safe, and Vegetarian Week. May is a month of American cheese, be kind to animals, better sleep, chip your pet, creative beginnings, date your mate, gifts from the garden, meditation, inventors, photography, tennis, walking, small business, zombie awareness, drum month, respect for chickens, victorious women. It's a month of asparagus, barbecue, chocolate custard, egg, hamburgers, salad, salsa, strawberry, and vinegar. In 2014, I had the top 10 tips for women. This is for Delia and Charlynne. And the top tip was aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. Ready for my closing words? I'm just about out of time. Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. Kiss slowly. Love truly. Laugh with me. 1, 2, 3. Laugh uncontrollably. Never regret anything that made you smile. Final words. Wake like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. When I talk disco in high heels, they all watch. Sing like nobody's listening. And love like you've never been hurt, because we all have. Money talks. Chocolate sings. La. And last but not least, I stole this line from somebody else years ago. Thank you for turning me on. Wave goodbye. Don't go away. Guess, Jordan, are we out? I think we went over. Jordan, did I?
All clear.
Thank you,
went over
dear.
this by a little bit. All right.
Okay. Thank you.